بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد الدرس الرابع عشر, the 14th lesson. In this lesson, the author is going to be focusing on this ظرف idha. This is what we're going to be learning and focusing on in this lesson inshallah. idha ظرف زمان للمستقبل. So it's a ظرف زمان للمستقبل. What مستقبل basically means is future. Usually enters upon a فعل ماضي. فعل ماضي comes after it. إذا جاء, إذا رأيت, إذا ذهب. Usually a فعل ماضي, most of the cases, comes after it. But this فعل ماضي, although فعل ماضي indicates the past tense, with إذا it's actually referring to the future tense. So إذا جاء doesn't mean if he came, rather it means if he comes. إذا ذهب, if he goes. إذا رأيت, if you see. So that's what it means by للمستقبل. It turns the meaning into the future tense. Okay, that's one thing that we need to know. The second thing that we need to know is that it is مبني على السكون. And because it's a ظرف, it's mansub, right? But because it's مبني, we're not going to say it has a fatha. We say في محل نصب مفعول فيه. That's the second thing that we need to know. The third thing that we need to know concerning إذا is that يتضمن معنى الشرط. It carries the meaning of a condition. It gives us a conditional sentence. How does it give us a conditional sentence? Well, إذا, when it enters into a sentence, you have to have two sentences after it actually. You have to have two sentences coming after it. And these two sentences are two جملة فعلية. We have a جملة فعلية and then we have another جملة فعلية. جملة فعلية 1 has a name. It's called جملة الشرط. جملة الشرط. This is the condition. The condition is going to be mentioned in this sentence. And then this second sentence is called جواب الشرط. The result or the response to the shart. If this is fulfilled, this takes place. And the fi'l in this jumla and this jumla is usually, most of the case, is going to be madi. Going to be madi, both of them. So if we give an example, so we say إذا ظرف زمان للمستقبل مبني على السكون في محل نصب مفعول فيه. Or you can say في محل نصب على الظرفية الزمانية. Okay, then we have the first jumla that comes here. And then we have another jumla. I'm taking this from the passage. It's mentioned in the passage that we're going to be reading inshallah. جاء رمضان فعل ماضي فاعل. Okay. But is this ماضي? Is this past tense? No. The meaning of this has been changed because of إذا. It's not if Ramadan came. It's if Ramadan comes. It's going to come. What happens? So this is the condition. What is this called? جملة الشرط. This is the conditional sentence. What happens if this happens? Then we have the second sentence, which is going to be called جواب الشرط. فتحت أبواب الجنة. If Ramadan comes, the gates to Jannah are opened. This is فتحت. We already know this type of format is مغير الصيغة. فعل ماضي مغير الصيغة. This is نائب الفاعل مضاف مضاف إليه. It's called جواب الشرط. If the shart is fulfilled, this is the result. Ramadan enters, the gates to Jannah are opened. Is this understood so far? Hopefully it's understood. So we're saying this is a ظرف زمان. It contains the meaning of shart. And it contains the meaning of shart because it enters upon two sentences. The first sentence being جملة الشرط, the second being the جواب الشرط. So we said this usually enters upon the فعل ماضي. جملة الشرط has a ماضي and جواب الشرط usually has a ماضي. But sometimes it can enter upon مضارع instead of ماضي. And this is not as common as the madi. So for example, we're going to see in the passage a line of poetry where it mentions إذا ترد إلى قليل تقنعي. Okay, this is a part of a line of poetry. I've left off the first part of the line of poetry. We're speaking about the nafs. The nafs, the soul, is mu'annath. So the soul adapts to what you accustom it to. So if you accustom the soul to something which is small, a little, then it becomes content with that. So here this is the جملة الشرط ترد إلى قليل. Where's the جواب؟ تقنعي. This is مضارع. ترد is مضارع مغير الصيغة. تقنع is also مضارع. So this is an example of either entering upon a فعل مضارع being the جملة شرط and the جواب الشرط being فعل مضارع. But this is what's more common. More common is ماضي. Hopefully this is understood. Okay, the other thing that we need to explain also is there are cases where the jumla, which is coming as jawab al-shart, we have to add there's a fa here that comes. It starts with this fa. We have to attach a fa to the jawab al-shart. Wajib. We have to, and it's necessary to attach it in certain cases. The author does not teach us all of the cases. He's going to mention two of the main cases, two of the most common cases, although there's more than that. From these cases where we have to attach fa is firstly, if this, the jawab al-shart, is not a jumla fi'liya. And we said there's going to be exceptions, right? So if it's not a jumla fi'liya coming here, it comes as a jumla ismiya. The jawab al-shart is coming as a jumla ismiya. Then we have to attach fa. This fa is a harf, rabita. It's a connection. Because when a jumla ismiya comes, it becomes disconnected. So we need to connect it once again with the fa. The fa has to come. So fa will come and attach to this jumla fi'liya, and we have to bring this fa, otherwise it's going to be disconnected. An example of that is idha najaha, and then we're going to have huwa al-mujtahid. Idha najaha, we're saying this is our jumla shart, and we want to make this our jawab al-shart. Right now it's disconnected because this is a jumla ismiya, mubtada khabar. It's disconnected. In this case, I have to bring the fa. I have to bring the fa and say فَهُوَ الْمُجْتَهِدِ. إِذَا نَجَحَ فَهُوَ الْمُجْتَهِدِ. If he succeeds, then he is the hard worker. Another example, Allah said, إِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي. And then we have إِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. The ayah is not like this. I'm just trying to demonstrate what happens. So, inni qaribun. Indeed, I am close. This is inna. The ya is ضمير متصل مبني على السكون. ياء المتكلم مبني على السكون في محل نصب اسم إن. قريب is خبر إن مرفوع. Right? This is a sentence. What type of sentence is this? This is a jumla ismiya. So we have a jumla ismiya coming as our jawab al-shart. إذا سألك عبادي عني. This is our jumla al-shart. If my servants, عبادي, my servants, ask you concerning me, indeed I am close. Right now it's disconnected. Because the jumla ismiya, to connect it we have to bring fa. فإني قريب. If my servants ask you about me, then indeed I am close. So this is the first case where we have to add the fa, rabita, rabitatun, connection. We have to add the fa, which connects between the jumla al-shart and the jawab al-shart. The second case is if the jumla that's coming here is jumla talabiyya. What's a jumla talabiyya? Jumla talabiyya is not a new type of sentence. We only have two types of sentences in the Arabic language. Jumla ismiya, jumla fi'liya. Jumla talabiyya just basically comes from talab. What's talab? Request. So the jumla here, this sentence is a type of request. Types of requests. We have amr, we have nahi, we have istifham. These are types of requests. The jumla talabiyya is where there's an amr, command, prohibition, or interrogation. These type of requests. طيب. So let's give examples where we have amr, we have nahi, we have istifham. Because we have these, if we have them, it's going to be disconnected. Hence, we have to bring the fa to connect it. So let's start with amr. So for example, إذا رأيت حامدا اسأله عن كتابي. So if you see Hamid, so this is our jumla الشرط, the conditional sentence is here. اسأله عن كتابي, ask him about my book. If you see Hamid, ask him about my book. This is disconnected right now. Okay, there's no connection between the two. This is a separate sentence, this is a separate sentence. We have to bring the fa and connect it. We have to say إذا رأيت حامدا فاسأله عن كتاب, then ask him about my book. This is our جواب الشرط. Now right now it's connected and it makes sense. This is جملة الشرطية and this is جواب الشرط. And the reason why we have to add the fa is because this is أمر. It's a جملة طلبية. Let's give another example of أمر, because we have فعل أمر and we've learned also how to make it into أمر by adding لام الأمر. It comes in a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد ليركع ركعتين قبل أن يجلس. Okay, this is a sentence now. This is our jumla shart, this is our jawab shart, but it's disconnected right now. If one of you enters into the masjid, let him perform 2 rak'ahs قبل أن يجلس, before he sits down. This 2 rak'ahs that you enter the masjid and you perform is called tahiyyatul masjid, greeting of the masjid. This name is not a name which was given by the Prophet ﷺ, rather it's a name which the scholars have given it, the scholars of fiqh. They call it tahiyyatul masjid, greeting the masjid. So when you enter the masjid, you have wudu. Before you sit down, you should pray 2 rak'ah sunnahs before you sit down. What's correct is that this is a sunnah mu'akkada, highly emphasized sunnah. And some of the scholars, they mention that it is wajib, because here there's a lam al-amr, hence it's wajib. But there's other evidences which bring it down to make it a sunnah mu'akkada. So this is amr right now. So this is disconnected, which is why we have to bring a fa. We have to bring a fa and connect it. And when we bring the fa, remember, the lam al-amr becomes sakin. فَلْيَرْكَعْ رَكْعَتَيْن. If one of you enters into the masjid, then let him perform 2 rak'ahs before he sits down. So these two are examples of the amr. Let's give an example of nahi. We give an example of nahi and then we give one example of istifham and then we'll stop there inshallah. An example of nahi: إذا وجدت المريض نائما لا توقظه. So this is لا الناهية. لا الناهية makes the فعل مضارع أيقظ يوقظ أنت توقظ. This is a فعل مضارع, so it becomes مجزوم بلا الناهية. Okay, if you إذا وجدت, find the مريض sleeping. If you find the sick person, the patient sleeping, don't wake him up. It's disconnected right now. This is nahi. It's good. This is a jumla talabiyya. Because it's disconnected, we have to bring the fa to make it connected. So if you enter إذا وجدت المريض نائما فلا توقظه. If you find the sick person sleeping, then don't wake them up. This is our jumla shart and this is jawab al-shart. We have to bring the fa al-rabita in this case. Okay, an example for istifham. An example for istifham is إذا دخلت امرأة أين أذهب. This is a istifham. أين أذهب, this is a sentence on its own. أين أذهب, where should I go? أين أذهب. This is our sentence. إذا دخلت امرأة, if a woman enters, perhaps it's a shop and we don't want there to be free mixing. So if a woman comes in the shop, where do I go? It's disconnected right now. This is our jumla shart. This is meant to be our jawab shart, but it's disconnected. Because it's a jumla talabiyya, we have to add the fa. And it makes sense now. Now it's connected. This is our jawab shart. إذا دخلت امرأة, because التقاء ساكنين I give it a kasra. فأين أذهب, if a woman comes in, where do I go? طيب. So this is what we're learning. So once again, we're learning about إذا, which is a ظرف زمان للمستقبل. A ظرف, adverb of time, which changes the tense into the future tense. It's مبني on سكون في محل نصب, because it's مفعول فيه. it contains the meaning of shart. And this meaning of shart is brought about because it enters upon two sentences, two jumla fi'liyas. The first jumla fi'liya is called jumla shart. The second jumla fi'liya is called jawab shart. And we've given an example here. There's times where it can also enter upon a jumla fi'liya where the fi'l is mudari' and the second jumla fi'liya in the jawab shart is also mudari'. But most of the time it's going to be madi. And then we said the fa al-rabita is introduced in certain cases where it's wajib for you to bring the fa. And that is if it's disconnected. Sometimes there's going to be disconnections. It doesn't make sense. So to connect the two sentences together, we have to bring the fa. And there are certain cases, around 6 cases, but we've learnt 2 so far. If the second sentence is a jumla ismiya, we have to bring the fa. And if the second sentence is a jumla talabiyya, a sentence which contains some sort of request, a question or prohibition or command, we have to bring the fa. Barakallahu feekum. سبحانك الله بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.